Now, still on the pause this afternoon, Strategic Mobilization Limited, what you know as SML offices in Tema and Osu have allegedly come under heavy raid as national security operatives in a joint operation with the Office of the Special Prosecutor moved into action to execute a search warrant of the facilities. According to Joy News' sources, the OSP is in the advanced stages of its investigation into the SML scandal and is interested in electronic information from the company's servers. The search is being carried out simultaneously at the Osu and Tema offices of SML. Let's cross over to speak to my colleague Michael Papani Ashale. Michael, tell me, what's the situation and which one of the locations are you now?
Can you hear me? I'm currently around the 12 junction, community 12 junction, where we are. The building is suspected to be SML's head office here in the Tema enclave. When we got here about 30 minutes ago, there were at least 3 vehicles, all black, with the blue and white strip lights on top of it. There were 3 of them with individuals brandishing weapons. So there were uniformed men. One of them I saw wearing a military uniform, and others also wearing suits. And these are members of the National Security. As it stands now, since that has changed, all 3 vehicles that I earlier described to you have now entered into the building. Before that, they were positioning such that they were covering the entire frontage of that should span almost 300 meters in length. But now all 3 vehicles are now inside the building, and most of the personnel we came to meet out, and these are the uniform security personnel, have all also gone inside. In the last 20 minutes as well, about 3 different vehicles have come here. Six of them was a V8, Land Cruiser V8, all black one with the windows very much tinted, so you couldn't even see who is inside. What exactly is happening inside, we are unsure of, but clearly from the information that Johnny has been able to gather so far, that SML currently is being raided by the OSP, who's looking for some more information to possibly make a case, not just against the company, but against some other individuals that they also chasing here. The feelings as though that tip-off is correct, because there are men, uniformed men, who are currently inside the building of SML.
All right, thank you, Papani. I'm sure that you're still around there and will bring us if you, again, pick up on anything. But let's engage Manasseh Azuri. Beyond our tip-off as well, you'd realize that Manasseh also posted this up on his social media page, and I promise you that that link was jammed up because everybody wanted to see that raid. Manasseh, thank you for making time to talk to us this afternoon. How did this come to your attention, first of all?
Well, you will recall that this SML issue started with investigation I led some journalists at the 4th Estate at the time to do. And we petitioned the Office of the Special Prosecutor. So from time to time, I have sources from all angles that tell me what is going on. They are fixing this computer here. I suspect maybe it's because of your investigation. It should have been here or there. And so one of such sources told me about this raid, and everything I put out appears to be the case.
Right. Thank you for that confirmation. And again, Manasseh, I know that you're not the OSP, but let me in a bit. What do you think the OSP is looking for, if indeed they are the ones conducting the raid?
Yes, I can say they are indeed the ones conducting the raid with the help of the National Security Secretariat. What I know is that the OSP has a lot of documentation regarding this case, and my sources tell me that they just want to see if they could get more from documents or information that is not documentary, something that could be on the servers of this company, the operations that could lead to the office getting more information and evidence to prosecute its case. So it is more about what is possibly in the service or on the service of SML that the OSP is looking at.
Again, some education beyond the evidence that the OSP is looking for. Let's look at the umbrella reason why the OSP is actually investigating SML.
SML, we know, was brought in because they claimed there were issues in the downstream petroleum sector. And according to the company, its own work had stemmed the tide of underreporting, diversion, dilution. These were the problems in the sector. But our investigation revealed that the company wasn't doing any of these. In fact, different companies were doing this. When we confronted SML, it admitted it wasn't doing these works or performing these services and proceeded to delete that information from its website. SML also claimed to have saved Ghana 3 billion, and it was on the front page of Daily Graphic. When we confronted the company, it could not stand by those claims and claimed that the media got it wrong. But it's interesting to note that the GRA and the Ministry of Finance, which contracted SML to be doing measurement of these petroleum products from the tank farms to the loading gantries, they don't use the figures churned out by SML. And when we asked, SML's engineers explained to us that the already existing system recorded more accurate data or measurement than SML's figures. So as we speak, they're paying SML, but the figures SML churns out from its recording are not used for revenue purposes.
Okay.
And they are actually inferior to the existing system. So these are some of the issues that came up, and it may interest you to know that Ken Oforiatta caused the contract to be expanded. And what the expansion means per that contract, the 2023 contract, is that SML will be entitled to a fixed percentage of revenue. When you and me buy fuel from any pump in Ghana, any fuel station in Ghana, that company is entitled to a fixed percentage of revenue. When Ghana drills oil from upstream, every barrel of oil, SML is entitled to a fixed percentage of revenue. And then the gold mining sector, every ounce of gold that is produced, the company will be entitled to a fixed percentage of income. And this is contrary to the claims by the company that, well, they are given a percentage of what they recover. I can tell you on authority that SML has not recovered a pesewa since it started operating. And we put this to them and they said, look, we are not into checking all of those anomalies. It is the GRA that does it. So if you ask SML, are you checking underreporting? They say no. Are you checking diversion of the petroleum product? They say no. Are you checking dilution? They say no. So the question Ghanaians should be asking is, what anomaly, what problem is this company here to address, especially when the recordings they claim to be making are not even used by the entity that engaged them?
Manasseh, by the end of this raid and investigation, what do you think the special prosecutor and other investigative bodies may discover that will not surprise you?
They will discover that this company was paid over 141 million United States dollars, and that there wasn't any basis for a pesewa of the taxpayers' money to have been paid to this company. It is also out there that even when this company was about to start, they applied to the PPA on 3 separate occasions, the GRA, asking to be given the permission to use the single source procurement method to award contracts to SML. The PPA reviewed the documents and said, look, this company has no track record, has not proven any capability of doing this work you want it to do. On 3 separate occasions, those approvals were denied. SML changed its name from SML to SML. The GRA proceeds to award these contracts without the PP approval. So you have a state agency that is supposed to give you approval. You go there 3 times, they say, no, SML doesn't have what it takes to do this contract. Then you proceed to give the contract. So a lot of laws have been broken. And if you look at the president's letter from last year, some of the contracts even required parliamentary approvals. And obviously, the public procurement law and many others have been broken. So whilst I was listening to this nurses thing, I am a potential victim of this nurses strike. But I don't think that Ghana is too poor to pay our health workers well. If you have a finance minister who, through this shady deal, is committing about 500 million US dollars in a period of 5 years to a company, and SML is not the only shady contract we have in Ghana. There are many of those contracts. If our politicians are prepared to seal these loopholes, they can pay our nurses well, they can pay our teachers well, and then I think we should stop the emotional blackmail against some of these people who do. Not many of us can stand what nurses and medical doctors go through in their hospital.
And I say, hold for me. Stay with me on this conversation as I want to bring in Professor Kusieni, security consultant. Now, Prof, thank you for joining us and making time for us this afternoon. A question will be that so far, what we know is that there is a joint raid at SML office. So far, overview of it, I don't know whether you have the details, but overview of it, the procedure so far, is this something you anticipated or it would have been otherwise?
Listening to Manasseh and the information in the public domain, one would have expected probably this raid to have taken place much earlier if the documentations were available and the legal processes to permit the OSP and National Security to undertake whatever search raid have been obtained. But I think there are larger issues that we need to raise. One about the timing and the approach. Let me speak to the timing first. So, from what Manasseh is saying, all the evidence is in the public domain. You know, rules have been flouted, statutory institutions have not been able to impose their will on this company, possibly some criminal enterprises and levels of political collusion because of politically exposed persons. The real question in terms of the is, could the OSP and the National Security have acted much earlier? And if the political marbles had fallen the other way and the NDC hadn't come to power, would National Security and the OSP have had the gumption to do this raid? The argument I'm making is that, look, we need to find a way to ring fence our state institutions to be able to do what is right. And I can sense Manasseh's frustration and pain when he says this organization has looted this country dry, and he understands why the nurses are not being paid well. We can add the teachers. We can add the mortuary staff. We can add the pharmacists. We can add the cocoa farmers. We can add those who work on our highways and weed the sides of the highways. There is a need, and an ever-growing need, for the state and the Republic of Ghana and its institutions to protect the interests of ordinary citizens. You know, when elite consensus and elite settlements allow individuals and groups basically to rape the state and to have the audacity to provide us with documents claiming that they cannot appear to answer for questions as to their performance, then it raises even more questions. So I think if you gauge the public's patience with the results of oral and the expectations of what the state must do to those who have been found culpable, then the time is getting shorter and shorter and shorter because people's patience are beginning to run out. So let's ring fence these institutions and ensure that these organized criminal acts against the interest of the Republic of Ghana and its citizens never, ever in our history repeat themselves.
Prof, what do you say to people who are concerned about breaches of maybe data breach, trade secrets of SML? Because I like to think that apart from what we think they're doing for us as a country, they may have their trade secret as well. Doesn't matter at all?
No, when we talk about national security and criminal actions that pose an existential threat to the survival of the state and its ability to provide social welfare goods, then some of these rights can be suspended so that the state can do what it needs to do to prove its sanctity and its ability to protect its citizenry.
Okay. Prof, for the two investigative bodies, the OSP, National Security, is this okay for the two? Or you're thinking that one is supposed to be doing the raid? Doesn't matter. Maybe my question is, what do you make of the OSP getting into this matter?
Well, look, for me, it is the outcome that matters.
Okay.
I think the Republic of Ghana has been raped so brutally by criminals who have the audacity to talk back to us when the state wants to retrieve its funds, that if the OSP, as a prosecutorial agency, but also having a research and investigative body, thinks that in performing its functions, it needs to, in an ad hoc manner, draw in other state institutions that can support its work. It has the right and the legal backing to do so. And that is what makes the national security structure very interesting, because there are lots of institutions and organizations who come together to form a national security structure. And there are those institutions with specialized agencies and technical skill sets, and they call on each other to do so. So let's see the OSP draw on the resources that the state has,
Okay.
both for forensic, investigative, and let's see some people put before competent courts and jailed, and our man is retrieved for us.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Prof, for engaging us today on the polls. But back to you, Manasseh. And so you were of the view that, listen, the country is not too poor to take care of its citizens, especially even for nurses who are striking. Let's talk about the timing that Prof just mentioned. Would you say that is too late? Do you think that the OSP and the National Security would be able to find something enough, substantial enough, to continue with their investigation?
Well, I cannot say what they will find and what they might not find, but I tend to agree with Prof. Enning that this should have been done much earlier. Remember, we petitioned the special prosecutor in 2023, I think either November or December 2023, when we did this investigation. And it is common knowledge that if someone has something to hide, I don't know for SML, but generally it is expected that if somebody knows that it will come after them, they take time to put their house in order. So I very much agree that something like this could have been done a day or two after they received the petition. But it is said that better late than never. We only hope they will be able to get what they need to help prosecute this matter.
Okay. In all of this, do you think that setting up or establishing SML contributed in any way positively to us as a country? Maybe you can reference the electronic metering management system. Did it in any way benefit us, or nothing the SML has done has benefited us as a country?
I will say that nothing has benefited us because they were already metering systems. And these metering systems are connected. Whatever they record is fed into what they call the ERDMS, Enterprise Relational Data Management System, at the MPA. This system ensures that if any company, Goil, Star Oil, any company has to go and load petroleum product, they would have to go onto this system and then start the process anywhere in this country, whether Bupe, Takrade, Tema, wherever. And if you owe, the GRA can log you out of this system. So all the players in the industry are on this system to ensure that in the past, people could load and abscond with the tax revenue and also margins, but now they can log you out.
Right.
This is connected to the existing meters, and these meters are calibrated by the Ghana Standards Authority every 6 months. And it is not only connected to this system, but the system is again connected to the customs management system that they call the ICOMS. And according to customs, the ERDMS helps them to get account for the volumes of petroleum product that is lifted. And once the volumes are accounted for, then they account for their taxes. Now, upon all of these, you have other companies that are checking dilution and diversion. So that if somebody loads petroleum product and claims he or she is taking it to Wa, but stops at Suhum, the moment they open the valve to try to discharge, an alarm will be sent to the head office of the MPA. This is a separate contract that is paid for. And there's a contract that checks dilution. And if you load at the any depot before you move your tanker, that is performed. So the question we should be asking, I've seen SML engage in a lot of PR around. Ask them, are you checking dilution? They have said on record, no. Okay. Are you checking diversion? They said no. Are you checking under declaration or under reporting? They said no. These were things they claimed they were doing, but when we confronted them with evidence, they said no, they've since deleted them. So the question we should be asking is, exactly what problem is SML solving? When you talk about volumes, anybody who doubts should take pages 157 and 158 of the KPMG report. It says that SML's measurement is the least of all the measurement that was recorded within the period. So if you claim there are losses and you are bringing a technology that is less effective than the existing ones, then what benefits are you bringing?
Right.
When you talk about the revenues, that report details how the revenue increased. Quite recently, we heard that gold production figures and revenue figures have been going up. If SML's contract in the gold mining sector had started, they would have started taking credit for that. But that contract was suspended. The first half of 2024, when SML's operations were suspended, the GRA exceeded its target. And the board chairman, Joe Gatti, actually said it exceeded its target in an unprecedented manner. So this tells you that this company was at the ports, at the downstream, everywhere. But when its operations were suspended the first half of 2024, the GRA said it exceeded its target in a very unprecedented manner.
Right.
So if you ever get the opportunity to interview SML, just ask them, is it the under declaration or under reporting? Is it dilution or diversion that you are checking? They are not doing any of this. So what problem are they fixing? And that is the question neither SML or the GRA and the Ministry of Finance have been able to answer.
Thank you so much, Manasseh Zuri, for engaging us today on The Pulse. You're watching The Pulse with me, Emefa Akosiade. To stay with me, there's more after this break. Welcome back to The Pulse. Now, three major university unions, TUTAG, UTAG, and CTAG, have this afternoon expressed frustration over what they call government's undue delay in implementing the agreed exchange rate benchmark and releasing funds for book and research allowances and salary top-ups. The unions say the delays are affecting their members' welfare and academic work. A joint statement by the unions reads, and it will be on your screen shortly. It says that the University Teachers Association of Ghana, UTAG, the Technical University Teachers Association of Ghana, TUTAG, and the Colleges of Education Teachers Association of Ghana wishes to express our deep concern and discontent over the undue delay in releasing the exchange rate for the book and research allowance and payments. This delay has caused significant uncertainty and frustration among our members who depend on this critical support for the research and academic work. It as well continues to say, a joint meeting held on June 8, 2025, we, the undersigned unions, unanimously resolved that the government must, as a matter of urgency, release the exchange rate and commence the payment process for the book and research allowance to our members. Despite the late release of the rate, we have resolved that we'll not accept an extension of payments beyond September 2025. And also says that we stress that this allowance is a statutory entitlement under our conditions of service, an essential resource for advancing research, teaching, and knowledge sharing. We hereby notify all stakeholders that if government fails to commence the payment process by 13th of June 2025, this will be considered a strike notice by UTAG, TUTAG, and CTAG across all campuses to the government. It finally says, we urge the government to act swiftly to avert any disruption to the academic calendar and to ensure that the welfare of teachers and the broader academic community is prioritized. And we're going on to engage Professor Abdullahi Jinapor, Director General of GTech. Thank you for joining us this afternoon, Prof. And so we've just seen this strike notice. It's a few days to the 13th of June. Have you, I know that you said the government knows about this already, but prior to the 13th that's coming, have you engaged government again?
First of all, Emifa, good afternoon. And I speak on behalf of government because, as you are aware, GTech is a government agency.
Absolutely, Prof. Yes, thank you. Thank you so much.
Under the Ministry of Education.
Yes, thank you.
That said, I think if you look at the communique from UTAG, what they are asking for, and captured in the heading of the communique that they did send out, they are asking for the exchange rate, delay in exchange rate. Mm-hmm. I'm a member of UTAG. I've been with UTAG for the past 15 years. I know UTAG do go on strike, but never have I heard that we are going on strike because there's a delay in the exchange rate. What I do know is that we will go on strike when payment has delayed or payment is not being done. Regarding the exchange rate, you and I know very well that in this year's budget, there's provision for book and research allowance. And that provision is informed by the number of faculty and staff who are taken care of within this whole space. So it's very easy to know whether payment is going to be done or not. That's notwithstanding. We've been invited by the National Labour Commission to meet them tomorrow on this issue. Fortunately, a lot of work has been done on the exchange rate. In fact, just yesterday, we received a communique that we're in copy from the Bank of Ghana advising the Minister of Finance on the exchange rate to be used. So before, hopefully by tomorrow, we should be able to get the exchange rate. And not just that, we've been working with UTAG being in the know. In fact, the president of UTAG, I speak to him almost every day on this issue. Government is working very hard to make sure that payments are done when it comes to the book and research allowance for this year. In fact, two things happened. We have a new government that has just taken office not too long ago, about 6 months ago. We have CTAG, who are a signatory to this particular communique that has been issued, who have been migrated onto the university salary structure. So there are a lot of things that are going on. And as a matter of fact, I'm trying to get the data on the history of payments for the past 4 or 5 years when it comes to book and research allowances.
Okay.
Like that, be able to brief UTAG that it has not delayed. We are going to make sure that we meet the deadline, and usually payments are done before the beginning of the academic year, which is somewhere in September. As I indicated, we are in June. Hopefully, we should get the exchange rate communicated to the universities by tomorrow. We have the exchange rate as of now, but it needs to be officially communicated to us from the Minister of Finance. So there shouldn't be any cause for alarm.
Okay.
I don't think we are going to have any strike.
Okay.
We are going to try as much as possible to get the issues resolved, but it is a little bit frustrating that we have to be dragged before the National Labour Commission and we have to be discussing this issue over quote and unquote delay when it comes to the exchange rate. If it was the case that payments are not being done or payments have delayed, then we have a justifiable cause to threaten strike. But I want to assure all the stakeholders within the tertiary educational space that the academic calendar is not going to be disrupted and the book and research allowance is going to be paid on time.
Okay, Prof, knowing that it's just a few days to the 13th day of June, I mean, you have assured that there won't be any strike because you'll be engaging them. But on your table, does it really look feasible? And that's my first question. And the second question is, if you put away your title as the Director General for the Commission, you also you're a member of UTAG. Do you think that the members are asking for too much?
Well, I am not only a member of UTAG, but I was secretary of UTAG at UEW. And I was a member of the National Executive Committee of UTAG. And as I indicated, we've gone on a number of strikes, but there hasn't been any instance that we've declared strike or threatened strike because there's been a delay in the exchange rate.
Okay.
That has never happened. But be as it may, all we are saying is that we are working very hard to make sure that payments are done. And that is where UTAG has to more or less channel its energy. And I think people within the UTAG fraternity will attest to the fact that for the past years, book and research allowance is paid at the beginning of the academic year.
Okay.
Which is somewhere in September. That's notwithstanding, as I indicated, the National Labour Commission has invited all the parties involved in this issue, and I think they are going to study it and give a ruling. But we will make sure that payment is done. I cannot guarantee, and I believe UTAG will not also guarantee that payment is going to be done on the 13th for all the 26 universities, including the 47 colleges of education.
Okay.
Payments are always done in badges, but what we are committed to is that payment is going to be done for lecturers to conduct their research and for them to conduct effective teaching on the campuses. And for me, as the head of the regulatory agency, I think I want to use this platform to assure all stakeholders within the tertiary educational delivery space that the academic calendar is not going to be disrupted. I believe strongly that UTAG, once they meet us and they get all the information, they don't also want the academic calendar to be disrupted. All they are looking for and asking for is that they should be given what is due them for them to be able to perform their duties. And government is very much committed in doing that. But I just want to more or less call on them to be a little bit cautious, measured in the way we use strike and asking for what.
Prof, finally, before I let you go, we are clear on the allowances that they are asking for. Now, the exchange rate is what we want some clarity on for myself and then my viewers as well. What role does this exchange rate play?
Well, the exchange rate usually is an average of the exchange rates for a certain period. So it will be for about 24 months from somewhere in 2024 to 2025. And that advice is normally given by the Bank of Ghana. And as I said, that advice has been given. I'm in copy.
Okay.
The document was sent to the Minister of Finance, and I can't speak to it on air because the Minister of Finance will have to write to us. Mind you, the Minister of Finance wrote to Bank of Ghana on May 26th for advice.
Okay.
Today's date is 10th of what?
June.
Of June.
Yes.
So we are looking at some 20 days ago.
Okay.
And we got that response just yesterday.
Okay.
I have a copy of that response.
Okay.
So it's not as if somebody is gone to bed.
Okay.
Work is being done, and as I indicated, UTAG and all the individuals within that space who qualify to be given book and research allowance.
Thank you so much, bro.
Their book and research allowance.
Thank you. Thank you so much for engaging with us. Let's take you now to the press center, where the president of the Ghana Journalists Association is addressing the media.
It's going as planned, or because sometimes if you don't monitor, it will get to a point and the case will be become very should I say they may even to be stale, and they may even throw it away to become a court case. But this time we are going to monitor, follow proceedings till justice is served. And again, permit me to acknowledge media houses transmitting this press conference live on air. I'm aware that our very own GBC, GTV, is picking it live. We have TV3 also picking it live and live on their Facebook. Thank you. We have Joy News. Joy News also picking it live. And all other stations, those we don't know, we thank you all for your continued support toward the GJ activities. May we together join hands to fight any impunity against journalists. Thank you so much.
Any more questions? Any more concerns? Any more? I think Ahuto, your issue about the update, from the police, what the president said was that they're expecting that the police will update information regularly. So that's the clarification on that one. Yeah. Any more? That's it, right? Well, okay. No more. All right. On behalf of the GJ president, I'd like to thank you all for taking time to be with us today for this press conference. Let's remember that it's important that we protect the space that we have. If there's a need or question or you have a concern, I think that you can go to and file a petition with the National Media Commission if you are offended in any way, shape, or form. And also, if you have a right to a rejoinder, which the Constitution guarantees. And also, if you have any concern, of course, you can seek redress, civil redress in court. So please, attack to a journalist is something that we are saying no to. Thank you all very much. Have a good afternoon.
So the General Secretary would take those who would want translation in the local.
Translation in the Ghanaian language. If you are interested in getting further clarification in the Ghanaian language, the General Secretary has been equipped with that to give you the necessary breakdown in the Ghanaian language. Thank you very much, Kofi Yeboah. Are you good? Anyone?
Are you ready?
Anyone? Adom is here. Who else is here? Ateka, Adom, and AP.
We just brought you a live coverage of the GJA president addressing the media on concerns, particularly on attack on journalists. You recall that Joy News' Latif Idrisu was attacked quite recently and the matter is still in court. So definitely we'll be updating you. But I'll take you back live to my colleague Michael Papani Ashale, who's bringing us an update on what's happening currently with SML, the National Security Operatives, and the Special Prosecutor. Michael, what's the current update? Michael, can you hear me? We'll try and connect back to Michael, who's just been giving us an update that at the moment, all the directors of the company SML, Strategic Mobilization Limited, have actually been picked up by the National Security, and we'll try and get more details on what's happening currently, which one of the investigative bodies picked the OSP or the National Security Operatives. Earlier, we brought you that office, both in Tema and in Osu, had been raided by both the Office of the Special Prosecutor and the National Security Operatives in search of sensitive documents. But I'll take you now back to Michael. Michael, what's the update?
About 5 to 10 minutes ago, the vehicles that I spoke about 3 of them that were outside, went inside the building. Now, they've all come out and they have left. I counted 5 vehicles. It means there's 3 we saw. There were 2 Land Cruisers and 1 Cruiser in there. That makes it 5 in all. They have all just left. We managed to get close to the building and try to see what we can gather, what exactly happened in there, what exactly they took, if they took anything, and if they took anybody. In Chi, what they told me was that, or what somebody was telling someone that I overheard was that that the way it is that they have taken the things. What exactly they took, nobody wanted to tell me. But there was this gentleman that I met that was willing to offer some information. He says that he's close to top management, is now currently following them to the office of the Special Prosecutor. But what he managed to tell me was that 3 directors of the office here at SML have been picked up by these 5 vehicles, and I know what he says have been taken to the office of the Special Prosecutor. So he is in pursuit of these vehicles, following the men to the office of the Special Prosecutor. He tells me he's expecting that his clients or his people are expected to be. However, he does not know where exactly they are taking the people to.
Michael, did you encounter any challenges in reporting this specifically?
Well, in the beginning, though, just immediately when we disembarked from the vehicle, then we mounted our camera, then somebody called out to us that we should come. And just when I took like 2-3 steps, a vehicle sped and came towards my direction, and then it told me that, be careful, if you do it again, I'll deal with you. I don't know exactly what happened at the time, but that's exactly what we encountered. And the person directly told us that we should dismount the camera and then walk away from the building. So we just managed, if you know that neighborhood, we just managed to get close to Kwame Nkrumah's motorway, where we have been standing ever since.
Right. Michael, thank you for bringing us update from the SML office in Tema. And as well, we'd like to draw your attention that we've been trying to engage the Special Prosecutor on this matter, but we haven't been successful with that. You want to stay with us here on Joy News, because certainly in our subsequent bulletins, we definitely will engage the Special Prosecutor and all the investigative bodies as and when we can to bring you all the details of this developing story. I've been watching The Pulse with me, Emefa Akosiadeti. Thank you so much. There's so much news if you log on to myjoyonline.com. With our top story, government announces major data bundle increases across all networks from July 1. Thank you for watching.